So, week 18, prayers and meditations by the Mother. And we have March 6, 1914 prayer with us. And it is the first time Mother is going to Pondicherry. So, from Paris, she's come to Geneva, where she's writing this. So, anyone who would like to read out the prayer for us would be really nice. Please, if you can, unmute and read out the prayer for all of us.
Geneva, March 6, 1914. After having suffered acutely from their suffering, I turned towards thee, trying to heal it by infusing into it a little of that divine love which is the source of all peace and all happiness. We must not run away from suffering. We must not love and cultivate it either. We must learn how to go deep down into it sufficiently to turn it into a lever powerful enough for us to force open the doors of the eternal consciousness and enter the serenity of thy unchanging oneness. Surely this sentimental and physical attachment, which causes an agonizing wrench when bodies are separated, is childish from a certain point of view when we contemplate the impermanence of outer forms and the reality of thy essential oneness. But on the other hand, is not this attachment, this personal affection, an unconscious effort in men to realize outwardly, as far as possible, that fundamental oneness towards which they always move without even being aware of it? And precisely because of that is not the suffering that separation brings one of the most effective means of transcending this outer consciousness, of replacing this superficial attachment by the integral realization of thy eternal oneness? This is what I wished for them all. This is what I ardently willed for them. And that is why, assured of thy victory, certain of thy triumph, I confided their grief to thee, that by eliminating it, thou mayst heal it. O Lord, grant that all this beauty of affection and tenderness may be transformed into glorious knowledge. Grant that the best may emerge from everything, and thy happy peace reign over the earth.
Thank you, Shweta. So, any reflections, anyone, for those of us who at this moment would like to share anything that resonated?
Yeah, I found it so profound, the second paragraph, especially. Surely this sentimental and physical attachment, which causes an agonizing wrench when bodies are separated, is childish from a certain point of view. They're like two separate perspectives, na? It is really profound. Like the whole paragraph, when we contemplate the impermanence of outer forms and reality of the essential oneness. But on the other hand, is not this attachment, this personal affection, and unconscious effort in men to realize outwardly as far as possible the fundamental oneness towards which they always move without even being aware of it? That is our story, really. It's very profound.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So let us first, because as Shweta suggested, this second paragraph is quite relatable. All of us go through something like this. So let us just feel or maybe share a bit, uh, or maybe even if we don't want to share, would you like to maybe bring to attention these phases where you have felt sentimental and physical attachment in your life? So just kind of bringing it in consciousness, bringing it in front, and feeling also the pain that one goes through when somebody that you may love, it may be parent, child, spouse, partners, friends, and when the physical separation happens, one goes through a pain. So let us just bring it to front that yes, we go through all this. It's my story, as Shweta was sharing. Because if we don't relate it with our own practical experience, then it is nothing for us. It may be mother's prayer, but how am I connected? So if we can bring that pain in front of physical separation, just looking at it, not doing anything with it, just knowing that it is there. And then mother is sharing that it is childish if we see that from this point of view that everything is changing, everything is fleeting, ephemeral. People come and go, relationships come, are there and then not there. One is alive and then one is dead. So from that point of view we see, then it appears very childish. But mother shares another perspective, that on the other hand is not this attachment, this when we are physically together with our loved ones, we feel a oneness, certain oneness, if there is a deep bond of love, and their attachment also happens, so it's like a mixture of love plus attachment. And mother shares that is not this attachment, this personal affection, an unconscious effort in men to realize outwardly, as far as possible, the fundamental oneness towards which they always move without even being aware of it. So, whenever we have been physically proximal in the same family, in the same house, or maybe meeting frequently with people that we claim to love, uh, by the very effect of it, attachment happens, and we become like one with each other. Now, when the physical separation happens, then we really go through pain as if your part has been taken away, one of your body parts has been taken away. So, mother is sharing that this oneness that we feel when we are physically close with friends, siblings, spouse, partners, anything, physically meeting each other, hugging, embracing, this is uh, what we relate with. Then what happens is that we feel a certain oneness. And in our ignorance, we don't know that we are actually all one. So, what we try to do is that we try to physically become close so that we feel that oneness. And this happens because of our ignorance of we don't know the essential oneness, that we are actually all one being. It's one being. We are not separate from each other just because bodies feel separate from each other. And that is why if I hurt myself, I hurt the other. I hurt other, I hurt myself. I pour out garbage outside, it comes back to me, in some or the other form. So essentially, there is this oneness, but in our ignorance, we are not aware of it because we feel that I am this body, this limited self, this limited body. And who is the other person? The other person is also a body. But I feel such a strong separation, and we want to be together. We want to feel that oneness. It's there in our, embedded in our memory, this oneness. So, in attempt to achieve that oneness, I try to become physically close to someone, family, relative, friends, whatever, right? And if the relative or friend, family or friend goes apart, then I feel a sense of separation because all I thought I am is this body. Now the bodies are away, so where is the oneness? So I'm struggling with it. And we all have been, maybe we have gone through such phases where we have been parted from our loved ones, and how much agonizing wrench or pain it causes. So, mother shares that it actually is, in our ignorance, an attempt to achieve that oneness or realize that oneness, which is our true nature. That oneness is our true nature. And then we can also connect it, for those of us who are interested, we can connect it with consciousness. The presence of awareness in each one of us is the same. It's like the space connecting Bombay and Canada, India or Pakistan. Same space. So that there is oneness in the background, but the background is always ignored. So this presence of awareness with which we see the thoughts, we see the feelings, it's same in Shweta, it's same in Snehi, it's same in Sharadaji, it's same in me. It's same in the animal which we meet on the streets. That presence of awareness is same. It's like one space pervading everything. It's not disconnected like parts and pieces. So that is the essential oneness which we are seeking. But owing to our ignorance, we try to achieve it by physical proximity. That's what Mother is sharing in the second part. That is not this attachment, this personal affection, an unconscious effort. We don't even know that we are walking that path, to have that oneness. An unconscious effort in men to realize outwardly as far as possible, जितना दूर तक जा सकते हैं उतना दूर तक, as far as possible, that fundamental oneness towards which they always move without even being aware of it. This we very visibly see in couples, for example, very fresh romantic couples. They always want to be close to each other. Why? Why this physical proximity is required? It may be that it is definitely, those of us who have gone through it, it definitely gives you a feeling of oneness, but that is very temporary. It's very temporary, it's very fleeting. And on the top of it, it's actually very painful because you try to control each other, dominate each other. Because if you are now not feeling oneness in the physical sense, then you want to achieve it. But how to do it? So you become aggressive, you become violent, you want to control the other person. But that's in our ignorance. So that's why enlightenment or knowing our true self, it's not a luxury that only a few of us are supposed to become enlightened. All of us, have to realize our true nature. Otherwise, we will continue to suffer. In our ignorance, there is suffering. And one uh, sign or symptom of growing on the spiritual path is continuous decrease of disturbing emotions, because you realize that even if the person may be physically away from me, in a sense we are all one. So you may go through pain. It's not that we will not go through pain, but at the back of it you will have a very deep contentment and feeling of oneness with our loved ones. And not even our loved ones, even if with so-called our people in opposite parties or strangers or enemies, you feel this oneness the more we know our true nature. That's why masters are very compassionate. Gurus and masters who are truly enlightened, they naturally have this compassion, because when they see the other one suffer, it's them who is suffering. So compassion arises, because boundaries are not there in that sense that you are different, I am different. We are all in the same boat. So Mother is actually giving us a raw material for transmutation. Mother is saying, and precisely because of that, is not the suffering that separation brings one of the most effective means of transcending this outer consciousness? How beautiful. So, Mother is saying that now that in our ignorance we go through such suffering and pain when we are physically separated, uh, can we not use it as a raw material? Is that not a possibility? Yeah, beautiful lines. And precisely because of that, is not the suffering that separation brings one of the most effective means of transcending this outer consciousness? So now that I feel that suffering and pain in me when I'm physically away from a loved one, can I utilize that suffering? Because as long as I am stuck with the ego consciousness or the outer consciousness, knowing myself as this body, knowing the other person's as this body, the other body, then I will continue to suffer, right? Now that the suffering is there, the pain is there, can I rise from my identification with the outer consciousness? That's the suggestion. And that's why suffering is a blessing. Because those of us who are not passionate, those of us who never have gotten really attached, वहां पे चांस कम है थोड़ा. But for those of us who have been passionate, who have undergone this pain of separation, and the pain is agonizing, now we want a relief. What to do, what to do, how do I breathe? Because there's so much of pain of this physical separation, and hence in wanting relief, I have the capacity to transcend my identification with the ego sense, that I am not this body. I am slowly, stabilizing ourselves as awareness, and knowing also the other person as awareness, where there is no separation at all. So, more and more identification with the consciousness or the presence of awareness, and detaching or disidentifying from the surface consciousness, which we call it the outer consciousness, disidentifying from the thoughts, from the feelings. Neti neti, I'm not this, I'm not this, not the physical sensations. I am this presence of awareness. That is who I am. So this is my chance. And that's why, in the story of Deepa Ma, she shares that I was undergoing so much of suffering that if I had to save myself, only meditation could save me. Because when we meditate, why do we meditate? We meditate because in through meditation, we disidentify from the outer consciousness. We more and more stabilize ourselves as the presence of awareness. So again, disidentifying and identifying with our true consciousness. So she says that without that, I would have gone, I would have died. There was so much of suffering. And she also shares that when we realize our true essence, actually suffering of that sorts disappear. There may be compassion and pain at the feeling of how others are living in ignorance, but that is more compassion and taking on others suffering. It's not that you are suffering through your own relationships and through your own body consciousness. That is gone. So this is our chance. Those of us who have tasted it, this is our chance, or taste it, or are tasting it, of replacing this superficial attachment by integral realization of thy eternal oneness. A kind of oneness which can never ever go anywhere. Eternal. Where will it go? Imagine that it's a vast room, and there is nothing in but that room. There is nothing in existence but that room. So we can actually see it like that also, that the divine being or the divine consciousness is that vast room in which all of us, all the creation is there. As if we are just part of this whole divine being, all of us, whether we may know it or not. We are all in the divine. Then where is the separation? How can I be separate? We may be in this land or the other land, Bombay, Bangalore, Japan, but all of that is in the divine being. So this is what happens when we realize our true self, more and more stabilize in that consciousness. We feel a very large and expensive oneness with everyone, irrespective of the physical separation. So this is our chance. Mother is giving us a beautiful opportunity to utilize the suffering, the raw material of suffering. So let us go over the first paragraph again. I started from the middle because it was just could not resist. So mother is leaving Paris, going to Geneva, and then in Geneva right now, and then she would be leaving for Pondicherry from there. And as we leave after a long time from any place, we have many friendships that develop, many relationships, many affection with people around, and even places like we are attached to the house we are living in. Leaving that house feels a bit weird. So mother is sharing about that after having suffered acutely from their suffering. So mother is suffering when she sees the other people around her who she's leaving behind suffer. That now that the mother will be going away, they're not very delighted about it. That mother will be taken away physically from them. After having suffered acutely from their suffering, I turned towards thee. So ultimate remedy, mother points us again and again in every prayer, trying to heal it by infusing into it a little of that divine love, which is the source of all peace and all happiness. So, in the very first line, Mother gives us the disease, Mother also gives us the remedy. The remedy is not to keep on thinking about it. Oh my God, why am I making people hurt? Why are they behaving like this? Why am I behaving like this? How can I resolve this? So it's not in the mind that the resolution is happening. The only antidote mother uses most of the times, every time, the divine mother, is love. So mother says that I turn towards thee, trying to heal it by infusing into it a little, just a drop. When a medicine is very potent, all that we need is a little drop. So, Mother is saying just a little drop of that divine love, which is the source of all peace and all happiness. Now, this is something which we can do anywhere. We may be in the middle of a family confusion, entanglement with a friend, spouse, children, anything. And if we sense that there is a entanglement, there is suffering in the other, and there is also a confusion in me, this is what we can do. Invoke divine love and imagine, visualize the other in submerged, relaxed, and happy and peaceful in that divine love. And same for our own self also. And not to keep on calculating in the head, because that's what makes us stuck. We try to calculate, we try to find it out through our mind, but that never resolves anything. So, Mother is invoking divine love and using it as a medicine. We must not run away from suffering. So, Mother is sharing that if I am going through a phase where suffering is there is no need to hide from it. It is there as a fact. We must not run away from suffering. We must not love and cultivate it either. Not that I keep on inviting it like dukhi atma types. That everywhere I just see pain and invite it in my being. So not like that. We must learn how to go deep down into it sufficiently to turn it into a lever powerful enough for us to force open the doors of eternal consciousness and enter the serenity of thy unchanging oneness. So, if the suffering is there, as Thich Nhat also shares, no mud, no lotus. Mud is suffering, lotus is our true self. We only care to find our true self when we are suffering. Such is our ignorance. But thank you for the suffering that it at least pokes me in the butt, that I move myself from the chair and lethargy and inertia and laziness, and I dig deep down in search of my true self. So not running away from it, not wanting suffering, but if it is there, how to make use of it sufficiently to turn it into a lever powerful enough to force open the doors. So it's like, imagine how lever works. So suffering is like that lever which is giving us the intensity to open a door. Now, why this? Because usually when things are very okay in our lives, we live very scattered. Look at how the mind is. a little bit of thoughts in the past, a little bit of thoughts in the future, little bit of thoughts scattered in the present moment. Not really an intensity like in gathering of consciousness, like a single point. So, but when I suffer, even physical pain, physical pain either of parting from a friend or a relationship, or a physical pain like tooth, or maybe headache, what that does is that intensifies and ingathers the consciousness. You're not able to think anything else but the pain. Have you experienced that? Those of us who have gone through physical pain, that it intensifies the consciousness. It's like a funnel, it brings all the threads of consciousness together. Yeah. So mother is saying that if this is happening, if you are suffering, use that ingathering of the consciousness like a funnel, it's ingathered, like a lever to force open the doors of eternal consciousness and enter the serenity of thy unchanging oneness. So, what is this unchanging oneness? On one hand, it's very simple. As Kabirji says, it's so simple that we miss it. On the other hand, we may use lifetimes and years in order to know it and truly realize it. And what is it is not a secret anymore. We all are aware that it is the presence of awareness. Awareness never dies, it's unchanging oneness. I may be aware of a bad mood, but I am aware. I may be aware of a bad pain, but I am aware. I may be aware of happiness, I am aware. So it's like this screen, it's never ending screen in the background. But because it is in the background, we miss it. And all my focus is on the content of the thinking. Okay, this is what happened in the morning, that is what happened in the evening, that guy said that guy insulted me. So instead of looking at my own self, which is the presence of awareness, being aware of being aware, I always keep looking outward. Just like Kabir ji says, kasturi kundal base mrag dhoonde ban mahi, ऐसे घट घट राम है दुनिया ढूंढत नहीं. So he says, just like a kasturi deer has the smell of fragrance, but he's always looking outwards. Where is this smell coming from? Where is this smell coming from? So Kabir ji says, ऐसे घट घट राम है. Just like this, every form has the presence of the divine. Dunya ढूंढत नहीं, but we don't look inside. We are always pointing outside, always pointing outside. And this is how we turn within and find it and stabilize ourselves, through years of sadhana. And only that can transmute suffering. But knowing that we are not running away from suffering, we are facing it fully, and we are making use of the suffering as a raw material. So this second one we have already touched a bit. Please keep sharing if you get any insights in between. And mother shares, this is what I wished for them all. So what is mother wishing? Mother is wishing, now that we are going through suffering, let all the beings who are suffering make use of that suffering in order to achieve or attain or reclaim, one can say reclaim, their true being, their true essence. May they know who they truly are. May they use the suffering. This is what I wished for them all. This is what I ardently willed for them. And that is why, assured of thy victory, certain of thy triumph, I confided their grief to thee, that by illuminating it, thou mayst heal it. So, when the light of awareness, the light of consciousness falls on anything, it gets healed. That's why mindfulness works. So I may be going through a pain, mental, emotional, physical pain, but parallelly, alongside experiencing the pain, I'm also centered mindfully in the present moment, either with the breath or the body, being aware of whatever pain is arising, physical, mental, emotional. So when we become mindful of anything, we are shedding light of consciousness that I see you, you are there. I see you mental confusion. I see you mental excitement. I see you emotional chatter. I see emotional agony or happiness or joy. When we are seeing with this light of consciousness, things heal. Because consciousness is force and consciousness is love itself. That I see you, I validate you, you are here. O Lord, grant that all this beauty of affection and tenderness may be transformed into glorious knowledge. Grant that the best may emerge from everything. So, how beautiful, that no matter what we may go through, the best may happen. And Mother is also praying in the first line, grant that all this beauty of affection, because whenever we see fondness in people, it's nice to see affection, it's nice to see fondness, that it's there. All this beauty of affection and tenderness may be transformed into a glorious knowledge. So when I am affectionate in blindness, it leads to attachment. We all have seen that. We keep, no matter our children become 40 years old, we are very attached to our children in a sense which degrades the relationship. Don't go away from me, that just always stay close to me. We all do that. So when we are affectionate but without knowledge, that affection is poisonous. It's not freeing or liberating for both the parties. But if affection is there, fondness is there, but also a knowledge, a glorious knowledge, a background knowledge of our oneness is there, that we are all one no matter how far physically we may be, then it's beautiful. So, Mother is saying that along with affection and tenderness, may also, we have this glorious realization of who we truly are. Because then we won't stick to each other, then we won't want each other very close to us, that don't go away, you are my best friend. Then we'll be able to open our hearts, locks of our hearts, which are always there, and allow the friend or the child or the spouse to move away, because it doesn't matter, we are all one. But as long as that realization is not there, suffering is there. But with love comes freedom, with love comes strength. So the more I learn to love, we usually don't know how to love. We are attached, but we don't know how to love. So the more I realize that I don't know how to love, and if I'm willing how to love, then I can allow my relationships to grow and expand in freedom and vastness, rather than keeping them very narrow only for myself. So it is expanding for both the parties. It may be difficult in the beginning because we are not used to it. But if we truly learn how to really, really love in our relationships, then it can be very expanding, very still affectionate and tender, and very widening for both the parties involved. That love is also there, but a lot of freedom is there, that nobody is tying me to their ground. I am free to move. Grant that the best may emerge from everything, and thy happy peace reign over the earth. So, when we allow this expansion to be, when we don't stick to things and people, then there is peace. Why there is peace? Because I'm allowing all the life journeys to unfold. Because I don't know what is there good for my child. Maybe my child has some soul journeys to take in some other land. How would I know? So if I keep on glued to my child and not let him go, let her go, then I am constricting, and in constriction there is not peace. The child will also be constricted, and not peaceful. So the more we grow in love, the more we expand in love, freedom, the more we also grow in joy and peace. That, wow, nobody is stopping me, nobody is asking me to come back home. And by default, what happens is that I'm compelled to come back home because how beautiful a relationship I have, that it allows me to grow. So I'm compelled to come back again and again because of that love and bond. And many a times it happens that children, want to almost run away from their parents. Either they are too sticky to their parents or they want to run away. But there is hardly a balance that we are able to reach. So I feel that we really must learn to love and let go of stickiness, non-gluey, non-sticky love, which is a hard thing, because the moment I fall in love, I attach myself, I become glued. So that's our journey, that's our process. Yeah. So taking a pause here, any reflections that came up in the meantime, anyone?
Yeah, Monica, sometimes we we know that we are getting attached to our close ones. It is not good either for them or us. But sometimes, not sometimes, many a times it happens, we want to be together, always. Sometimes, our mind says, it's okay if she goes, for example, my daughter, Meera, if she goes anywhere, we'll feel happy. Yeah, let her go out and learn something new and come back and everything. But when now we are seeing alliance for her. So, see, my outer mind says it's okay. Wherever she goes, she will be happy and, let her learn, let her enjoy her life. Everything is fine. But, after some time, chuchu, if she goes somewhere, then what will we do?
Hmm, hmm,
Anyway, we cannot be always sticking, and we do not know what is going to happen also. That is also there. But, this confusion is always there.
hmm,
See, one part of me says, let her go, learn lot of things, do lot of adventures, and have the fullest of her life. But another person, the mother, mother inside me, not the divine mother, the physical mother, Sharda, she thinks, oh, if she goes out, if she has headache, what will she do? If she stays close by, then I can do something to her. This is all unnecessary things. I know this is unnecessary, but still I'm not able to stop it.
no, but this is not unnecessary at all, Sardaji, what you
Yeah.
just shared. It's not unnecessary that it's coming to you. See, we are one.
Mm,
So you are one with your daughter.
mm,
And that's why if she feels pain, you also are hurt,
mm.
right? And it's a very good reflection of how the Divine Mother, for whom we are all children, how she feels the suffering when we are going through suffering.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like a biological mother like
Mm,
would undergo suffering when the child goes through suffering, right?
mm, mm,
Now imagine for a moment yourself
mm.
as the Divine Mother.
Okay. Mm,
Okay?
mm,
Now imagine that your child is growing and expanding by exploring
mm,
the life.
mm.
How delighted would you feel,
Definitely. Very,
right?
very happy. Yes.
Right? Parallelly knowing that the biological mother in you would
Mm.
feel a bit apprehensive that, what would happen and all the, confusion and anxieties. Parallelly knowing that,
Yes.
So keeping on validating our anxieties, yes, yes, they are there,
Mm.
but also knowing that I don't know the larger picture.
Yes. Yes. Very true.
Because you have seen your life, you have such a beautiful life. You're older than me, right?
Yeah.
So you would know that so many things have happened, and everything has its own reason, which only got revealed later on. When things
Yes.
are happening, we don't get to know.
Yes.
So taking refuge there, that telling ourselves that I don't know the larger picture. So whatever we doing that in the highest possible intention. And whenever doubts and anxieties and worries come, which do come in our ignorance, they do come, to all of us. Just telling the doubt that, how do I know this is true? Because I don't know the larger picture. Divine Mother knows the larger picture. So can I have a little faith?
Beautiful, Monica. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because every day I will, go sit in front of the mother and I'll tell myself, I have to widen myself. I have to be
Yeah.
more flexible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why I'm thinking this way? No, I should not. Because, if for everything she decides, she knows which is the best for everyone, best
Hmm.
for all of us. Then why am I thinking all that I think? But you know, by the end of the day, maybe if something happens like this, Achuchu, what will she do? What will my husband do? All this, in Tamil we say ajnanam.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, even in Hindi, we would say agyan only. So we are all in the same boat.
We used
And
to advise my mother, if my mother says something, oh, it has become very late, 10:30, this girl has not come, girl child, and you people are not caring, and afterwards she has to come and eat. For example, I'm saying, she has to eat very late dinner and all. So I used to tell my mother, Amma, ajnana padada. There is nothing in it. See, when now I'm thinking that way, I'm thinking of my mother. The same feeling only she had, now I'm also having. But it is not, it is not good to have that type of ajnanam. It is not going to help her anyway. And me
exactly.
also.
Yeah. Yeah.
All this bhashan my mother, my mind is giving, but again I'm going back to the same trap.
You are very right, because this is a collective anxiety that we are going through. So imagine that if you now transform your anxiety as a mother,
Yes.
biological mother, you are actually cutting the karmas of your ancestors. That's the power you have.
Okay. Okay.
So see, for example, I'm a mother, okay? My daughter is out, okay? And I'm feeling all the worries, doubts, and confusion pop up from time to time, right? Now I look at these doubts and worries and anxieties, you know, and I tell them that, haven't I believed in you enough? So I would like to do something better. I don't want to believe in you. Because how do we fuel the worries? We fuel the worries by thinking about it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Mother has given us a very good antidote. Mother says that whenever the mind is going in loops of negative worries and anxieties, which we do, notice it and transform it. How do so you are noticing it, right?
Yeah.
Be,
Yes.
just become conscious that, okay, worry is here again.
Yeah.
Okay. And now what did the mother tell? Mother said, transmute it. Now, how to transmute it? Since you and your child is coming from one body, you have a lot of power.
Mm.
If you chant a mantra instead, which you have a faith,
Mm.
this is what I also practice, so I'm sharing what I personally benefit from. And
Okay.
it may be that you don't benefit from this, but maybe something else. So
Okay.
intuitively decide what you want to do. So what I do is that whenever there is any worry or anxiety comes to my mind regarding my children, I imagine their bodies. Of course, you can imagine Mira's
Yeah.
body, right?
Yeah.
And you imagine that you chant any mantra, like for example, Om Namo Bhagavate is mother's
Yeah.
mantra, right?
Yeah.
And you imagine that their whole body is full of this mantra.
Beautiful. Yes.
So the moment worry arises, I have now decided that I'm not going to fuel it. Since I don't know the larger picture, I don't want to believe in those negative thoughts. These are old egoistic patterns that I've been carrying, and I don't want to fuel it anymore. I transmute it. So the same time in which I would have been worrying about my child is utilized fulfilling, fulfilling
Beautiful.
the body with the mantra. And if worries work, then the mantra also work.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Monica.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So don't bother, don't resist if the worry comes that why are you here again? I don't want you here. No need. Okay, you are here again, and let's do the work like that. Yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. Thank
See,
you.
I've been thinking of this, since this session started. See, then I was thinking, only I am like this, or
Not at
everybody
all.
will be like this.
I'm
So
sure
I
if Shweta is also a mother, if she opens her mouth, she has many stories to share.
Yeah, it touched the chord, absolutely. So like
Yeah.
I understand one thing, attachment पता नहीं मतलब एक जो perspective समझ आ रहा है कि when you're thinking about your child ना, more than attachment, like the idea is not like how will I live without her. It's always like let her be, happy, joyful, peaceful. So it becomes different. So it's not about me, but like yeah, but this Om Namo Bhagavate, yeah, that's beautiful. I really liked it. Like, and also sometimes in the hindsight, when I reflect, I realize that even if my child has suffered, you know, I, I have not been able to do anything about it. So I think just believing, having faith that the suffering has the seeds of growth for my child, and I can't help it. I have to trust and have faith in the divine that my child's journey will have everything that will empower and just nourish my child, blossom my child. So yeah, with
Yeah,
that faith,
beautiful.
I
Yes,
move
yes,
forward.
absolutely. Yes. And also knowing that haven't we grown through our suffering? So knowing that we have to go through some or the other discomfort,
true.
in the process of evolution. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And everybody will go through very, very nicely, but
Mm.
till it comes, we'll be thinking of it.
Mm.
If it has come, then everybody has to go through it, and each suffering has given a beautiful growth
Mm.
in all of our lives.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always had a doubt, why I am only like this, because my sister is a very, very different person. She always, she will not care. No, we have gone through so many things. Let them also go through. Let them learn.
Mm.
So for anything, she will not worry. For everything, I will worry.
You are doing her part also.
Yeah. For her daughter also, I'll keep on worrying.
Good one.
Yeah,
So
and this body thing, no, Monica, you said, no, that
Yeah.
is so true because I still feel the connection of this body thing with my mother. It's been like it's been since ever. So the days when for without any rhyme or reason I feel troubled, or there is this unsettling feeling and all, it just comes to me. It's like without reason, and I just know that my mother is unsettled. It's just so strong, and yeah. So wo bhi to, so it you have to work even ulta, like from child to mother also. You send these vibes. So I do a lot of tongling. That helps me. That really helps me for my parents as well as for my children. So that has really given me a lot of solace. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think
beautiful.
that's a beautiful use of whatever attachment or suffering that comes. That since we are feeling the pain of the other, or we are disturbed by the other, to use that disturbance and to transmute it into something beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sharda ji.
Yeah, thank you.
So Snehi was asking, full of this mantra meaning. So it's like imagine that the body is full of flesh, right? Organs. So instead of that, or into that, you imagine that just like a room is full of light, the body is full of the mantra. So you can, as if the mantra is written all over the body, or if you resonate with light more, light, you can imagine the body full of divine light, that full of divine radiance and health. So whenever in our relationships we are in attached to certain bodies, which happens to all of us, we can actually make use of that attachment And whenever negative worries and disturbing emotions come, because of our oneness with the other person, we transmute it into something beautiful, knowing that, for example, if the worry about the child comes, so just realizing that just like I am a child of the mother, equally my child is also the child of the mother. Am I not taken care of course I am. So will not the child be taken care of course, the child would be. So many things, that we can use in order to visualize and relax in ourselves, that things are taken care of. And since I don't know the larger picture, why to worry? Mother says that we should not worry for two reasons. One is that if there is nothing that can be done about it, then why to worry? And then the other, she says that if there is something that can be done about it, then do it. Why to worry? So there is no point of worrying at all, because worrying drains our energy. Worrying puts us more in the ego consciousness. And whenever we take acts out of ego consciousness, we add on karmas. More and more accumulation of karmas happens. So now that we are reading Mother and Sri Aurobindo, we understand a little bit, can we make better decisions? Not accumulating karmas over karmas and making the burden very heavy. Keeping the mind and emotions very simple, very light. And if we get a taste of this living, then जैसे दाल में काला पता लग जाता है, just all the yellow dal and एकदम से काला दिख जाता है. So when we begin to live in a certain simplicity of mind, body and emotions, then moment the disturbing emotion arises, I'm able to see it just like dal में काला दिख जाता है. And then I'm able to dissociate from the unease and again relax back into the ease, take decision from the ease rather than take decision from unease. Whatever decision will be taken from any aggression or unease will lead on to the accumulation of more and more and more karma, like baggage. And if we have this human birth, utilizing it well, and now that we have the words of Mother Sri Aurobindo and many other masters with us, shedding off the karma. And when I shed off my karma, then I also help others live light. So this is our possibility. So whatever confusion we have, not to run away from it, as Mother is sharing, not to run away from suffering, noticing it and transmuting it. Just like princess kisses the frog and the frog turns into prince. So frog is our disturbing negative loops that are there. Princess, we can say the light of consciousness. I see you are there. Now let us make it into something beautiful. So again, choosing our highest possibility now that we have the chance. Yeah. And also मुझे लगता है मतलब बार बार whenever our focus too much goes on others, whether it is our friends, children or family, I feel that I personally feel that it strays me away from my true purpose in this life, which is realizing the union within. Have I achieved that? So I must ask that, have I achieved that? Why am I so lost here and there? So why not get back to work? Yes, Shweta.
Yeah, Monica, even I think about that. But sometimes I don't know, it just feels selfish. Like क्योंकि आप देख रहे हो कि somebody is seeking you, and और फिर वो हम so, the larger answer comes कि, this is their journey, this is my journey, and things will happen and everything. But ये कि मैं अपने में focus करूँ and like let me not get strayed, वो लगता है कि अभी मेरा कर्मा भी तो है साथ में, उसको भी तो जस्टिस करना है ना, मतलब लाइक जो आपके ड्यूटीज है या जो भी है, यू कांट जस्ट से कि लेट मी जस्ट, आई डोंट नो, मतलब
No, when I say that focusing within, realizing the union within, it does not mean that you are not engaging in the world.
हाँ हाँ
Not at all. So good that you raised this up. It means that keeping my focus, the mind, very simple in the present moment. That's it. Simple. Because when I get too much entangled in the thoughts of others, that's what I was referring to, then those thoughts entangle me further. So whatever action is required, which is required, we are living together, all of us, always interacting with each other. We are not living in seclusion. That is not the purpose. So when I am interacting with the other person, how would I interact better? Imagine, would I interact better when I am too much entangled in thoughts? Or would I interact better when I am very light in the present moment? How would I react better? So being simple and light and not too much complicated in the head. That's my inner work. That's parallelly going on. And rest all the interactions and whatever words, body, speech, mind, bhakti, jo bhi hai, body, speech, and mind. The body would be action, speech would be the words, and mind would be your thoughts. All of that is coming from a simplicity. And whatever comes from simplicity heals. So the karma that you were sharing, that, don't I have karma with others? Of course you have. So don't we want to make it more and more beautiful? Yes, we want to. So just not again and again going on in loops of thoughts, because they are the ones which are ego patterns, which entangle rather than resolve. And when
So
we,
amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
please go
yeah,
ahead.
it's so amazing that when you look back, you understand कि सच में कितने shifts आ गए. मतलब सच में वो loops of thoughts और वो सब, even when situations are more challenging, and yet those loops and thought, that's when you question also कि how come you feel so कि like you have to focus there, but अंदर से एक वो feeling आती है कि it's okay, and that stickiness goes, or it's not totally gone, but there is a larger faith which helps you, and you are in the world, and yet somehow you can't, वही एक disorientation लगता है कि what to make out of this. You can see these challenges, or like so many worldly things, and yet there is a uh, like easiness in the heart, and you question that easiness कि ये कैसी easiness है, मतलब पहले जैसा you don't feel, and uh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So that easiness will, just like earlier, uneasiness was way of my life.
हाँ.
So mother says that easiness becomes a way of life, and the moment unease arises, you are able to, resolve it with immediate effect. So mother says that more and more, when we dissociate from the outer consciousness and we go within, we live within, then what happens is that inner reality feels more concrete.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what, what you shared, that the ease within feels more prior and more concrete, that this is what we need to take care of. And then slowly the outer actions are also done, that we will see that in our life, the more stable we get within, the more inner reality becomes concrete and more real for us, the outer circumstances we are able to deal much efficiently without entanglements. It actually becomes real, through our experiences we realize that. So
तब
even if,
feel,
yeah,
yeah,
please, huh?
नहीं मुझे ये लगता है ना, फील भी नहीं करना पड़, आप
Hmm.
प्रेजेंट हो, आप उसके साथ हो, वो अपने आप डील हो रहा है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
हाँ. हाँ.
बिल्कुल. या एग्जैक्टली. या तो वही है कि धीरे धीरे वो ईगो के जो एजेंडाज हैं, मैनिपुलेशंस हैं, गेम्स हैं, एज वी स्टॉप बाइंग इनटू देम एंड बिलीविंग इनटू देम, वी सी दैट वाओ, थिंग्स आर टेकन केयर ऑफ. सो क्या ज्यादा उंगली करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. या ब्यूटीफुल.
Session.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. And let me just read out the last thing that I had shared, something from Buddhist teachings. I found it really beautiful. Just as I yearn to be happy, to be ever free from suffering, even so may all those be happy, whether friendly, neutral, or hostile. So, whenever any feelings of aversion, hate, or resistance, repulsion may come into us, we can immediately turn it that just like I want to be happy and joyful, all the beings, whether they appear to be my enemies or strangers or neutral or friendly, they all want to be happy and they deserve to be joyous and happy. So granting, wishing and praying for all the beings, not only for our own little circles. Yeah. And this is, I feel that this is a process of purification that we undergo. The more we wish wellness for others, the more I clear, like acid clears the muck. I clear my own ill will and whatever little remnants of ego patterns that are there.
Beautiful,
Okay.
Monica. Beautiful teaching. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. Thank you, Sharda ji, Shweta, and Snehi. Thank you for joining. Bye bye. Thank you.
much. Bye.
Bye.